Ready to see the King's Gambit get unrefuted before their very own eyes. Today is going to be a crash course on all of the lines in the King's Gambit, be it the accepted, the declined, Falkbeer Countergambit, what to do if your opponent plays it in a non-confrontational way. Everything and anything will be covered in this video through game analysis and then strictly lines at the end. But the game analysis is going to be of the most popular line, that is the Falkbeer Countergambit. This gambit deters many King's Gambit players from playing it all too often, but it's actually my favorite one to face. They can push, they can take, and if they're a WGM, they could take and lose their queen in just a few short moves. So first, let's talk about them taking. You go knight to f3, blockading the f4 pawn, canceling out any devious intentions they might have on this diagonal. They're going to try to win back the pawn on d5, and unlike other openings, you're not going to give it back. You're going to hold on to it for just a matter of a minute. They're going to go c6, trying to win it back. Never take and give them a bevy of development. Just push in the center. Control the center. If the King's Gambit, if you recapture this pawn, it turns into one of the best openings in chess. And even if they try to hold on to it in the opening, which we will get to, in an Algier fashion, a mainline fashion, it's still fun. So they take, and you go pawn to c5. This looks like an overextension to both the untrained eye and the trained eye, but it actually works quite well. It blocks out the dark-scored bishop from developing, and what's a normal move for black to play? Well, I don't know about you, but IMs, GMs, and even Obama plays the move pawn to b6 in this position, and it is the best move, challenging the integrity of their pawn structure. Now, something I like to do here is I like to wait a few seconds. I like to pause. Things in motion stay in motion. So is it really a pause? But you wait a couple of seconds, pretend you're out of theory. I told my student this. It's not something I'm proud of, but I do it. Unless I'm playing an FM or WGM, then I just pre-move, because I can. And we get pawn to a5. People like to say the King's Gambit is refuted, but people also like to make YouTube thumbnails with those crazy expressions. If I ever catch my son taking a picture with that type of facial expression, it's just not going to happen. God willing, it will not happen. Queen to a4, pins the pawn, gives a check, and we get bishop to d7. You cover that with bishop to b5, a great move. IMs like to do this, so does Obama. GMs like to take, which is the best move, but the stone cold stunner of a move in this position is knight to c3. This move catches people off guard at a level you would not believe, and it's very hard to play against it. They have to take, trying to dislodge the knight, acting like they're up 2 pawns. What are these arrows? We're just going to leave the arrows because we can for today. But we get knight to e5. They have to take, you threaten the fork, and they have to block the fork with knight to a6. Now, depending on your mood, there's a few ways to play this. You can take, you can push, and as per the blue arrow, you can go pawn to a3. All are well within the realm of being amazing. So pick and choose. Depends on the mood. Depends on the mood. But we get pawn takes. So they sacrifice the rook thinking they have counterplay. Let them know that they don't, and let them know that you know that they don't. So there are 2 attackers on this knight. The best move they have is to go knight to c6, at which case you take, you take, they try to recapture the b pawn, and we get pawn to a4. We're going to rip so much theory after this game, but this is very critical that you know this. Either you're going to have 2 future queens, lovely sight to see, or we're going to get en passant, where you get knight takes, gaining a tempo, check, check. It looks like you're getting mated, but you are not. In fact, they are the ones that will get mated shortly, if all goes well, barring a mouse slip. Let us get back to the position at hand. This guy went queen e7, an Obama-looking move, a check. You slide. It's the safest king in the world. It looks like you're getting mated, and you're chilling. This was a 99 accuracy game. Right? And you just let it simmer. Take a piece with check. You give a couple checks, figuring it out. Pick up another piece. Why not? Are they going to mate you? Probably not. Give a couple checks, and they resign. And now we are going to rip theory. So, if they in spirit of the Falkbeer Countergambit, if they push, it's a good line, honestly. Just know that you go d3, and if they take, ironically, you should take with the queen. Don't ask me. Knight to f6, you take, they take, and you go knight f3. Now, many a time they go for this fried liver-esque type attack. You go queen e2 pinning the knight, you let them have it. They think you are getting mated, but they are just losing a piece. They are literally just losing a piece. They're all tied down. I've gotten an FM in that, but no more than that. But it is the most logical looking moves. And then, you know, of course, if they're a WGM, they might take. I just find it so fun to rip on it. But seriously, this is what they do. Like, I kid you not, this is what they do. I've gotten this like 10 times against them, and they just blunder their queen. But, you know, maybe I'm venting a little bit, but anytime you just go online and see the chess world, it's just like, ugh. It's a bunch of bitches who are mid, who think they're models, but they're mid, but chess players are dweebs, so they also pretend that they're models. No, but seriously, just gross on the inside. I've seen them complain about how they were forced to study chess as a kid. Forced to study. Do you guys think anyone has it worse in the world than being forced to study chess? From parents who spend time, energy, and money taking them to tournaments? Chess is not cheap. And they've made a living off of it. Not because they're good at the game, but because they're mid and chess players are dweebs. And then they talk about the pay differential. Listen, women can play in the open section and play like a 2800 and get paid. Or they can play like a 2400 and get paid that way. So, to each their own. It's just gross. Just gross. They post about a tragedy, and then they post a picture about them modeling, and then they post the picture of a I see what you're doing. Others might, but it's just, yeah. Get out of here. Get out of here. Really hard to stomach. Very. Taking is the main line, and you go knight f3. Now, let's say they try holding on to the pawn, right? We talked about how if you win the f-pawn, it turns into one of the best openings in chess. So what if you don't win the f-pawn? Then it turns into one of the most fun openings in chess. Pawn to h4, attacking the base of the pawn chain. If they ever go f6, they don't know what they're doing, and you just take and you checkmate them. So that's all. I guess just to play out the mate, it goes like this. They go king up. If they're the greatest, which they aren't because they played f6, you do this. If they go back, you give a check here, check here. Right? You do the little shimmy so that the distance of the check is closer, forcing king f7. Find mate. There are many. It's a good line. It's a nice line to know. But typically they push and you go here. Yes, there's 95 where you get a queen for 3 minor pieces, but this is the fun one. Again, if they go f6, you just take. So moral of the story, f6 is a bad move. Typically, they want to win a knight for free. It is anything but free. Let's pause. Flip the board. Look at the bar, but then look at the position. You see the contradiction. You see the sentient being that could mess it up, unlike a non-sentient being like Stockfish. What surprises me here is in the Masters database, many GMs go bishop to c4, and it's just an abysmal move. Yes, it's theory, but it's horrible. d4 takes, and they're guarding g4. And their king finds shelter, safety, on g7. So you should go pawn to d4. It's all about winning back the f-pawn when you can. So worry about that first. Typically you get this, and you see the difference. Look at the difference. The king is not as safe as it once was. And okay, it's -1. But there are pins, there are wins, quite literally everywhere. Like, if they play one silly move, they're automatically getting mated. So the Falkbeer Gambit, a very fun one that, in my opinion, is not so bad. Quite good, might I say. But the Fischer Defense. How did the Fischer Defense come into existence? Well, a guy named Bobby Fischer played a guy named Boris Spassky, got spanked, hid in his room, his dark room, turned the lights off, stared at the wall for a week in disgust, dissatisfaction, disbelief, dismay. Came out a week later, said, I refuted the King's Gambit, front page of the newspaper. Boom. Except it's not a refutation. You go bishop to c4. It's a good line, but it's not a refutation. Because now we have engines. So they figured it out just a little bit. Now, many people, since they don't look at the King's Gambit constantly, they play g5, and it kind of turns into an Algier Gambit without the Gambit part. Like, this is amazing. And if they ever win the knight, just know that they don't actually win the knight. They lose the game. So it's a fascinating thing that you should know, because it'll happen quite often. Pawn to h6 is what they should play, stopping g5. They like to attack pawn. We like to defend pawn. Caveman chess. They like to pin pawn. We like to attack pawn. Caveman chess. They like to defend pawn. You like to go knight e5. A brilliant move. The point is, if they take the queen, you take on f7. They cannot take because of the knight. So imagine this. Boom, bam, up, mate. Yes, that is checkmate. So they have to take the knight. You take the bishop. They have to save their knight. You move your queen to f5. It's a peculiar line that you will get if you play this. Because again, all these moves are very, very logical moves. I've gotten queen d4. Look at this. There are tactics in the midst. There are. It favors the attacking player. It does. So that's the Fischer defense. Now you might be like, what if they're scared? Now, a lot of people are scared and they go knight to c6 or pawn to d6 in unconfrontational manner. Now, I like to kind of play it in Vienna fashion where I like to go for this pin. You know, even especially bishop to g4, you go for the pin. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. We've made videos on this before, but look at the pawn structure. That's what I want to hone in on. Have you ever seen a nicer pawn structure, or is this the nicest pawn structure you've ever seen? It's the nicest one you've ever... You got some studying to do. I've seen better. I've seen better than a double ISO, a single ISO, and a lonesome pawn on e5. Slide the queen, get out of the pin, try to win the pawn on e5, and good things will happen. So I believe I'll leave it at this. A good crash course. Give it a try. Road to 3K. It's not refuted. Don't listen to these people that say it's refuted. Just metaphorically give them one of those, beat them over the board, and good things will happen. Good luck. Give it a try. Thank you as always for watching. Have a great day. Peace.